Hello, welcome to Cerulean Arts Gallery. Tonight we're speaking with Katie Knoeringer in conjunction with her Cerulean Collective Exhibition, which is on view now through January 14th. Hello, Katie.
Hi,
How are you?
doing great.
Thanks for being here. Let me spotlight Tina's video. So tell us about your show.
Okay, so my work is painted paper collage. I work exclusively from life when I'm drawing. So all of the works that you're seeing are based on drawings. And I have a mix of work in the show. I have some pieces that are on board. So what you're seeing now are some smaller works on board. And I also work on paper. Um, so so they're all just painted pieces of paper that I kind of graph together. And when I'm working on boards, I work a little bit differently. It's kind of an intuitive process, but like I said, I work from my drawings, so I'm kind of using those as a guide. Um, So I have a lot of plants and cats in the smaller work. Um,
So it seems like your subject is your immediate environment, like your home home life.
yes, it's important to me to be in the same space as my subject matter. And so I like to spend time drawing and observing and just being with whatever it is that has attracted me to make an image. And so a lot of times it is the interior of my home, or it might be my yard. And I was actually just talking to somebody about, I feel like my work is going through a change right now, that I moved about a year and a half ago to Kentucky. And so when I was in Philadelphia, the way I was experiencing space was a little bit different. There were a lot more sort of narrow spaces and confined spaces that I was witnessing and being a part of. And living in Kentucky, the space is very different. It's like more spread out. I have a big yard. The layouts of the homes are very different. And so it's just like something is happening, I think, to the work that it's just I'm experiencing space a little bit differently. Um,
So
it's
how do you feel it manifests in your work then?
I think I'm trying to sort of like, well, when I make the work, I think a lot about negative spaces as well as positive. And so the little gaps in between forms become very important to me. And so in a wider open space, it's sort of a different challenge to consider the negative space. And so I think the sizes of the works are changing, but also you'll see a lot more white space in this work. So this is all work from Kentucky, since I've been in Kentucky.
So you say you paint your paper. So do you paint it as you're working on a particular composition, or do you have a selection of papers that's all ready to go?
Both. So I have sort of a stockpile of paper in my studio, but I mean, it's sort of a product of working this way. I just have a lot of scraps laying around. And so sometimes I'll have the idea of, oh, I want to make a pink and gray painting, or oh, I want to make a yellow and green painting. But other times it's sort of I'll be inspired by scraps that are already in my studio, or if I need a color that I don't have, then I'll paint it.
And you're using gouache?
Yes, I'm using acrylic gouache. I really like Holbein acrylic gouache. And the reason that I work with that is it doesn't reactivate when it gets wet. So if you're painting glue or like medium on top of a painted paper, if you were using regular gouache, you would reactivate the paint and it would just move on you and
Right.
bleed. But this paint has sort of a matte quality that I really enjoy.
Is that why you choose it over, like, say, acrylic? Like
Yeah,
acrylic paint?
yeah, I'm sure acrylic would work too, but yeah, it's just sort of the finish, the particulars of the finish of the paint that I like.
So have you, like, how did you get to collage? I mean, did you start out like doing straight painting and then work your way here, or did you start out this way?
I started out painting. I did a lot of painting, mostly with acrylic and some gouache and watercolor. And at some point, it just wasn't like satisfying the right things for me. And when I draw pretty fast. I'm trying to capture a moment or like capture something while it's in front of me. And so working this way with the painted paper really makes me slow down and think about sort of like piecing this world together, like building it up and pushing and pulling edges a little bit. And so that it satisfies something really different. The drawing kind of satisfies one thing, and then slowing down and being able to make these kinds of decisions about shape and color really satisfies something different.
And you don't use photographs for your stuff.
No,
Oh, so you just have to rely on your drawing
right.
or your memory or
Yes.
imagination.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when I start a piece or when I start a drawing, I'll be attracted to like a shadow or sort of a sharp contrast or a shape, like the shape of a person. Um,
Or a
and
cat.
it's or a cat, right? Yeah. Sort of a visual moment. And so I'll try to capture that in my drawing and then I work from there.
And then, so I guess, do you freehand, do you do like a compositional full-size drawing or grid it, or how do you get to the collaging from your study?
Oh yeah, that's a really great question because it is it's sort of it's a translation. Like the drawing is a translation of reality, and then the painted paper collage is a translation of the drawing. So it's not I try to capture the gesture or the initial thing that grabbed me that made me want to make the drawing in the painting. But it's not sort of like a literal copy of the drawing, if that makes sense.
Yes. Hmm.
And I'll do multiple drawings. Like if I'm watching a person sitting in front of me, I'll make several drawings in my sketchbook, and that person might be moving or shifting, or I might move. And so making multiple drawings sort of enables me to, I can sort of find the common denominator from all those sketches and try to take that thing in and make that into the painting.
And your color, I mean, you have a really beautiful color sense. So are you are you bouncing off local color or are you like working with, can you talk about like how you get to your color? I guess I'm intrigued to know.
Sure. Sure. A lot of times from my drawings, I'll indicate in the drawings light and dark. Um, but then color is either sort of based on memory or there there is one piece in the show that I think is very different, and maybe I can talk about that as sort of like an answer.
Sure.
Um,
Which one is it?
it's a money tree, the one that's just a plant rather than like a whole landscape.
Yeah.
Right. So this piece, I actually I did make a drawing, but then I sat with a piece of paper on a board in front of this plant and made the painted paper collage in front of the plant.
Ah,
I think I mean I don't know if it's sort of makes a difference to anyone else, but it made a huge difference to me. I felt totally tied to what I was seeing
mm,
color-wise. And not that it's like a realistic or extremely naturalistic rendering of the plant, but more so I think I would normally um than I would normally do. So I think when I'm working just from my drawings and I don't have the subject in front of me, I might have a memory of like, oh, the rug was green, or the contrast was so strong, the shadow, this cast shadow was so dark, or something like that. And then I can kind of go from there. But this one just to me feels very different.
so is that like the first time you've done it that way?
Yeah, I think it is actually.
Do you think you'll like keep doing some like that or
Yeah, I might. And I've been thinking a lot about still life.
Mhm. I
And
guess it
so
would have
that
to be still life, not
yeah, oh right, yeah. So that might be a good approach to try. Like here's another still life. That might be a good approach for me to try um moving forward with some still life pieces.
and that's Arlen.
Yeah, right. This is based, yeah, it is based on a drawing of my son. And it's kind of nice to, I think for me, knowing my subjects allows me to take a little more liberty with them, which is nice, which it's getting a little more interesting. I mean, you keep making pictures of kind of the same people or the same cats, the same figures, and um, you kind of get more comfortable taking liberties with color and abstraction and shape. Like how far can I push the shape and have it still be um, this cat or this man?
Right. So you're very familiar with their forms and how they move in space.
Mm. And I think drawing fast kind of helps with that sort of fast gestural drawings and drawing a lot. I draw pretty often.
Uh-huh. Do you work like in a small sketchbook, a medium, or a large, or a combination, or
I guess medium sketchbook, like 8.5 by 11 or 9 by 12.
do you carry it around with you then? I guess sort of, or do you have them strategically placed throughout the house?
I have one sketchbook that I will use like from start to finish.
Really? Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's continuity is kind of important to me.
Uh-huh.
So I always have that one sketchbook that I'm in, like in
Mm,
my backpack.
yeah,
That's the size is sort of dictated by I can carry it in my backpack.
right. Yeah, well, it definitely keeps you focused if you just have the one. Yeah.
Mm.
You're not like, where's the drawing I did? I can't find it. It's, in one somewhere.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that would make me crazy. Making cats is kind of fun too because it's um how to articulate them, like how many pieces of paper, how to kind of, can the body be one piece of paper or should it be several, or, how to make the legs and how much information is necessary. And again, working on these small boards is a little bit different for me. I kind of, because there's more white space and there's sort of like a clean, very clean look to them, I like to kind of lay a couple pieces out, sort of as I'm working, which is different from when I'm working just on a big piece of paper. I'll kind of just like go for it, just start gluing things down and then adjust them
Mm.
by adding more paper to it. I do that a little bit with these too, but I think just the size that they are is makes me work a little bit differently.
And then you have the tonal variation, like in your colored paper. So there's like gradients in there. So are you like, do you plan it or is it just happen and then you sort of, use a gradient where it makes sense or
I use it where it makes sense, but also there are these kinds of happy accidents, like funny things that happen from working this way, like piecing things together. And then of course, like if it works, I'll leave it. And if it doesn't work, I'll change it. But I'm really open to that kind of like if something doesn't quite line up, or if, like a space on one side of an object can be a different color or a different tone on the other side of the object, or yeah, just thinking about sort of like those little in-between spaces and kind of like playing with that.
well, it's a wonderful show, Katie.
Thank you, Mike.
And so it's up through January 14th. We hope people can come down and check it out. And thank you so much for talking with us tonight.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.